صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, in today's Friday sermon, we're going to talk about parenting, in particular parenting in our contemporary context. First thing we have to bear in mind is the time that we're living in. There is actually a narration that's attributed to Sayyidina Ali, but I found it to be extremely weak. So it's probably not going to quote it, but in terms of the meaning of it, it does make sense. And basically, the quote is that your children are living in a different time, so you have to bring them up in a different way. That's the essence of it. So if you look at the time that we're living in, and the pace of change that we see and what's happening in this world, it does worry us. Lots of parents get concerned about their children. In essence, really, we're living in demonic times. That's probably the clearest way to put it. You have now, obviously, the advent of social media. There's so many studies that have been done on this. The impact it's had on particularly young people, on their mental health, on suicide rates. It's quite incredible that it's not taken more seriously. There's a big drive now to try and ban smartphones in schools because they know it inhibits progression. And generally, the experts, whether we listen to them or not, the experts say that you should wait until they're at the age of 16 before they have a smartphone. But, we're in the world that we're in, but we have to be aware of what's out there. And so you're living in a time now where you can have an AI girlfriend. So you don't even need to have a relationship with a physical person anymore. You can just make one up. Like, this is the world that we're living in. This didn't exist even a few years ago. So this is what's happening, and we've got to keep up to date with what's going on. As you know, there's deep fake porn. People take images of you, which is why you've got to be careful of what images you share of yourself, whether on WhatsApp or social media, because people can take that and then make pornographic images of you or of your family members and spread it and then manipulate you. I was talking to just a brother yesterday who works in child exploitation. That's what he was saying. They said there was a girl and they'd convinced just to take a picture of her teeth. And from the teeth, they generated a whole image of her and then tried to blackmail her. So this is the time we're living in. People take explicit images, and it's called revenge porn. These are unfortunately things that we need to know about now. You have to know uh, the evil to be able to deal with it. If you don't know it, you're going to have blind spots. But even though we're living in these demonic times, the only thing that can actually save your children is good parenting. And I've been in this field for many years now. For 16 years, I've been listening to people's problems, especially in their marriages and families. And I know, as somebody active in the community, you're talking to other people or talking to other communities, and you're always thinking about how do we make the community healthier, right? How do we look? We're always looking for solutions. What's the solution? And I've come to realize that the solution actually comes back to parenting. Even marriages, when I'm dealing with them, you're dealing with adults, but it's how they've been brought up. It's what's been happening in their childhood that shaped them into the adults they are. And then, if that work's not done, then they will just do the same thing to their own children, and the story carries on. So the time we're living in, only good parenting will save you. Some people think, oh, it's time to move country. I've met people when I've been abroad. Why are you here? Oh, it's for the sake of my children, because the environment's not good in the UK. And guess what? They have problems with the children, right? So it's not the environment. You can't escape this world now. It's like, as I said, global village. The issues are everyone's got smartphones. You go to a village somewhere where the person may be illiterate, but they've got access to a phone. They can see the same content that we can see, right? They're exposed to the same nonsense that we're exposed to. So, in actual fact, when it comes to our future generation, what's going to save them is good parenting. That's it. If we put all our time and effort into parenting, we would resolve our issues. But what happens is we mean well, but we think that the solution's elsewhere. We think make him a half of the Quran, right? Let's put them into, really strong Islamic studies programs, 6 years programs. Let's put them into extracurricular activity, jiu-jitsu one evening it's karate, one evening it's something else, right? Let's do that. Let's take them on holidays, spend money on them, take them to holidays. Let's go to a Muslim country, let's emigrate. But none of that actually make them into wholesome people. Um, I was in Yemen for a long time ago, and one of the brothers, he's actually from Bradford. Right? Maybe I should mention this, may identify him, but I'm sure he doesn't mind me mentioning this. But he'd moved. I'd asked him, "What are you doing here?" He wasn't studying. He was, "I'm coming for my kids." And that environment. There's no nudity. There's nothing. Right? You don't see anything. Right? Women were they're like covered in black. Right? They just you don't see nothing. No nudity, nothing. Right? So quote unquote a good environment. And he said I was having problems with my children. And I'm asking my wife, how come we're having problems? Left Bradford, we're here. We're sitting with all these people doing dhikr all the time. Right? The adhan's going off all the time. There's no distractions, there's no nudity, there's nothing, there's nothing to be there's no dunya here, right? So what's the name it came to me, the realization is me and my wife. You see, so you can't escape this. You have to do the work. It's not the job of a madrasa. It's not the job of Bradford Muslim College. It's not the job of anyone else. It's your job. And guess what? It's not a job that there was I worked with a parenting coach. She was telling me that this woman she was working with, she said, "How long do I need to keep doing this for?" And she said, "Well, the rest of your life." It's not like, okay, fix the problem. Okay, my kid's good. Can I take a break now? No. You will be a parent till the day you die. Even if your children are 60, you're still going to be a parent till them. So we have to get this right because a lot of times we think if we drum Islamic knowledge into their brains, this is what's going to save them. Before sometimes forcing religion into into children can actually be counterproductive. Because when they're young, they've got no choice, they will just listen to what you have to say. But as they get older and they have their own autonomy, they will say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Because it was forced on them. And the truth of the matter is, right, whether people admit it, whether people don't admit it, many people deep down, right, they maybe you're not even aware of it, actually have feelings of anger towards appearance. Right? If you dig deep enough, if you spend enough time talking to people, you actually realize this, and this is because they're angry at how they were treated. Right? They're angry at how they were treated because every child wants attention. Every child wants time. Every child wants to feel loved, nurtured. Right? When that is not given to them as a child, you feel you've been hard done by, and those feelings you will carry from childhood into adulthood. And so it's, that when you start talking to people and getting into, what's actually going on, why are they thinking like this and why are they having issues in their personal life, you'll find a lot of the time will come back to, them feeling neglected as children. These are adults now. Them saying, I wasn't loved, I didn't feel loved, right? Not feeling heard is another one. They didn't feel that their parents heard them. They didn't feel anyone heard them, so they felt lonely. Um, Sometimes it's being put down. I was put down as a child. I was always told I wasn't good enough. I was doing everything wrong. And obviously abuse in all its forms, physical, etc. Right. Now the thing is, whatever you do to your children, they will do back to you. Right? كما تدين تدان, as they say. Whatever goes around comes around. If you ignore them as children, they will ignore you as adults. When people say, "Well, my teenager stopped talking to me," a teenager doesn't talk to me. I say, "How's things?" Fine. Well, what are you going to do? Don't know. Right? They're not interested in talking. Why are they not interested in talking to you? Because guess what? See, when they wanted to talk to you when they were young, you didn't have time for them. When they came running and said, "I want to talk to you," but you're too busy on your phone, you're too busy talking to somebody, you're too busy watching the football, right? So you actually created the problem. The parents create the problems. We don't realize this. Knowingly, unknowingly, we create the problems. And so, whatever you do to them, they will do back to you. If you reject them as children, see when you're older, they will reject you. They will reject you. They will not let you into their lives. They will keep you at a distance. Yes, because they hear sermons about being good to the parents. They will have to. They feel they have to as a duty to be good to the parents. But do they really want to? No, because deep down they're angry. Deep down they feel ignored, rejected, all these emotions from childhood, and it's directed at the parents. And this is why they find it very, very difficult. And sometimes they feel guilty for feeling like that about the parents. So what we do today will have an impact tomorrow. Right? Whatever you put into your children, they will give it back to you. Good, you get good back. Bad, you get bad back. Simple as that. Um, and often I think this is my own reflection. Often I think that many of our sermons, we focus on the parents' rights, and parents get happy. They love it when you tell them the hadith, about the parents and how high their station is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they'll remind you, and those hadith and those verses they've memorized. Right? They've memorized those ones, and they like to remind their children when the children are maybe not listening to them. You have to do this. You need to do that. I'm your door to paradise, etc., etc. This is the kind of stuff they come out with, right? But how often do we talk about the child's rights? Every child comes into this world ala fitra. Kullu mawludin yuladu ala fitra. Every child comes into this world on the state of fitra, that natural innate state to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're in that very clear, pure state, right? So they're coming in as a pure subject, and they're under your care. And what you do to them is going to shape their life. That's a huge responsibility, right? It's a huge responsibility. And therefore, we have to be extremely cautious about how we behave with them. They're not our property. This idea that my son, my daughter, I can do what I want, I don't know where it came from, but it's certainly not from Islam, right? They're not your property. You can't demand from them. If you see the programming of a child is to love the parents and to want to please the parents. That is their default setting. But it's we that mess it up. If we just did our job, we actually loved them, we gave them attention, we talked to them, they will automatically love you. You will be their hero, right? They will remember you when you're gone. They will be the ones coming to your graveyard. They will be the ones making dua for you after every prayer, because that is their nature. This is what is inherent in all of us, right? But what messes it up is the parents. The parents break the relationship first before the children break. The child breaks the relationship. That's the way it works, not the other way around. And there's a story, of Umar Khattab. There's some maybe question of how strong the story is, but it's nevertheless, it's narrated. So this man comes to Umar when Umar Khattab is the Amir al-Mu'mineen, he's the Khalifa, and he's complaining about his disobedient son. So Umar calls the son and says, right, dad's complaining about you, what are you doing? And he says, oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, oh, leader of the believers, doesn't the child have rights over the father? He goes, of course. He goes, well, what are they? What are those rights? He goes, well, you should choose a good mother because the mother's going to nurture the child. Give him a good name and you should teach him the Quran. And the boy says, my father didn't do any of these things for me. And so Omar turns to the man and he says, you came to complain about your son being disobedient to you. It was you that failed him before he failed you. You wronged him before he wronged you. Right? So we've got to get things right. We're always telling children off, but the thing is, why are the children behaving like that? What's the cause of it? It's the parents. And so parents actually parents don't realize how powerful they are. They are the most powerful individuals in a child's life. It's not the school, it's not the madrasa, it's not Qari Sahib, it's none of those things. It's not even social media or their peers. It is the parents, the mother and the father, and the mother more than the father, right? But their voice is extremely powerful, extremely powerful. And so they have the power to make that child the best of the best or the worst of the worst. That's the power that the parent holds. I was talking to one of the brothers yesterday, something I saw on Instagram, the American guy, Steve Harvey, and it was just a clip, and he was talking about how his dad used to call him and say, "I'm proud of you." And he started crying. The grown man is crying in this clip. And he said that now he's gone, he goes, "There's nobody to call me." But he goes, what that meant to him, and go, what it did to him was unbelievable. Right. And so, we're in Bradford, and obviously we have issues like any other society. We have issues, we have drug issues, we have gang issues. When you have gangs, right? Why do people join gangs? Why do people join gangs? Because gangs give them gangs give them a sense of belonging. Gangs give them acceptance. Gangs give them validation because other members will say, "Oh, you've done a great job," Well, they egg them on. So they're getting all of those things. If they got those things in the home, they would not go looking for it outside. The only reason they're going to look for these things because they never got it in the home. So where is the solution? The parents. If the parents gave them what the child needed, the child would not go outside looking for it. If you're hungry and somebody fills your belly, you're not going to go out. You don't need to go out. You're satisfied. But when you're hungry, hunger will then push you to go out. Hunger will then even push you to sometimes crime. To fulfill your hunger, you have to fill your hunger. So if we were focusing on doing what we're supposed to be doing, we've been told, is to look after our children. And it's not just about material things. There's a hadith mentioned Abu Dawud that the Prophet said, "Kafa bil mar'i ithman an yudayya man yaqut." It is enough of a sin for a man or a person to neglect those whom he is obliged to spend on, meaning his dependents. That's enough of a sin. That you've not looked after, done your duty, you've neglected your children. That is enough of a sin. Right? It's not about how much community work you've done. In the day of judgment, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala holds us to account, it's not going to be about all the great things you did, how many mosques you made, and all the rest of it. Yeah, that's obviously got merit. But the first thing, what you're going to be asked about, obviously your prayers and so on. But then who are you going to be asked about? Your family. The closest people to you, your spouse, your children, your parents. These are the people that you'll be asked about first, before you're asked about anyone else. And when we think of in the next life, we're told, isn't it? يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. The day when a person will run away from his own brother. وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ, and his mother and his father. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ, and his wife or his spouse and children. لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ. Everyone on that day is going to be busy with their own selves. In the next life, if you are in a position, remember, it's everyone for themselves, every man for themselves. In the next life, if you could save yourself from going to hell by putting the blame on your mother or your father, would you do it? You will do it. Maybe not this life, you won't do it. But see, in that life, when hellfire is staring at you, you're going to turn around and say, "God, my dad did this, my mom did this, it's their fault. It's not my fault." Right? So these very same people under our protection will turn against us. This is what the Quran is telling us. Every man for themselves. And so, in terms of advice, what we have from our tradition, there is a saying, some people wrongly attribute it as a hadith. It's a saying of Sayyidina Ali, where he said that you should play with your children for 7 years, you should teach them for 7 years, and you should support them for 7 years. Right? So, the 7 years, now, if you go and do any secular study, they will tell you the first 7 years are pivotal in formulating the personality of a child. Now look what the Sayyidina Ali is saying, play with them, be with them. Right? Playing means you need to give them time, you need to give them attention, you need to sit down and draw pictures. You need to play with dinosaurs, right? Things which you don't want to do. But this is love. What's love? Love is, I want to watch the football, but this is more important, even though I'm bored out of my nut doing it. But I'm going to do this and not do what I want. This is what love is. If you love somebody, you put them before yourself. But what in reality do? We love ourselves first. What I want to do comes first, and what everyone else is a secondary. Then we wonder why we have issues. So the playing with the child builds connection. And this word is the key word, the buzzword. If you remember one word from this khutbah, connection. If your child is connected to you, your child will be fine. If your child is disconnected to you, you've got issues. You're going to have problems. Right? You have to have a connection with your child. And the greatest gift you can give your child, right, is for them to feel loved. It's for them to have your attention. Why do children misbehave? Why do children misbehave? Right? They start messing about, whatever. What are they doing? And that must be, they're trying to get your attention. Why are they trying to get your attention? Because you didn't give them good attention. So they say, okay, fine, I'll go and do that, and then I'll get my dad's attention. This is why children misbehave. It's just attention. So if you give them attention, they won't misbehave. If you don't give them attention, they want attention, so they have to get it somehow. That's what they do. And a lot of young children, even forget children, even adults have this issue. They're not good at saying how they're feeling. We struggle as adults to explain how we're feeling, right? What about children? So what children do is they show you how they're feeling through their behavior. They show you how they're feeling through their behavior. So when they've got their heads down or they're like looking grumpy, that they're telling you, I'm not feeling good inside. Come and speak to me, ask me. Right? That is them communicating. Communication is not just words. So they're showing you how they feel through their behavior. So if they've got bad behavior in the home, that is talking to you, it's communicating to you. And we hear, sure everyone knows this, the best thing a father can give his son or daughter is what? Good manners. But good manners don't fall out of the sky. Good manners, children model behavior. They will model how you are. They will become mini yous. So if you want good manners in your children, it's not going to come from the madrasa or anywhere else. It's going to come from you. They will look at you and they will copy you. And also, when it comes to physical discipline, right, the sunnah is not to be physical, because we know the Prophet ﷺ never hit a child. Right. So the sunnah, I'm not going to get into the was permissible or not. I'm just saying the sunnah, the higher way, the way the Prophet ﷺ was to be able to change someone's behavior without physical discipline. Right. So we should be able to, with our words and our behaviors, be able to change a child's behavior without resorting to that. And I've got a couple of minutes left. Just a couple more things I want everyone to just kind of take away with. The first thing is, whatever you tell your child, that's what they will become. The most powerful voice is the voice of the parents. If you tell them they're naughty, guess what? They will become more naughty. Because you've just told them you're naughty. Well, am I naughty? I bet naughty things then. If you tell them they're capable, they will start to believe they're capable and do things and push themselves. Whatever you tell them, they will become that. You tell them positive things, they will become positive things. If you tell them negative things, they will become those things. If you call them a donkey, do not be surprised that they behave like a donkey. Right? If you tell them, no, you can do this. I know you can do this because last week you had this challenge and I saw how you pushed yourself. I know you can do this. They will believe that. So whatever you tell them, they will become that. So we have to try our best not to use negative language. Things like, you always do that. Because if you say you always do that, they will always do it. That truck's ahead a couple of minutes. You've got 5 minutes. Is it ahead? Okay. 4 minutes. How many minutes? 4 minutes. So I'm looking at the clock. I'd like to stay on time, but clock's ahead. Playing games. We try to trick me here. Okay. So yes, so look, whatever you tell your children, they will become that. Anytime you see them doing anything good, anything, right? They gave, I don't know, their sister some chocolate. Just say, I saw how you gave your sister chocolate. That's very kind of you, very generous of you. They will start to believe they're kind and generous, right? But if you just always tell them off, you're always doing that, you're just a troublemaker. Guess what? They will become a troublemaker. They'll become an even better troublemaker. Because who told them they're a troublemaker? You did. You've just put that belief into them that you are a troublemaker. If I'm a troublemaker, I should cause trouble then. So the words of the parents, and look, think about it yourselves. How many things do we remember from what our dads and mums told us? I remember things. My dad's passed away many years ago. I can still remember things he said to me. Those words stay with you for life, good or bad. And so you can't outsource your parenting. You have to do it. It's your job, nobody else's job. And then again, I'll reiterate that in this time, in these demonic times that we're in, the only thing that will save our children is good parenting. There's lots of things, obviously, we worry about, but we don't have a choice anymore to be absent. Whatever our parents did, 40 years ago, if you try and use the same formula today, you're going to have big problems because life has just changed so much. You just have to do the work. We have to do the work, which our parents maybe didn't have to do as much. They got away with it. We can't get away with it. You can now no longer choose to be an absent parent. You will pay the price. A lot of the times in the past, a lot of things were done for the parents. The environment was different, it was safer. Now it's not. So let's take one example with many people get concerned about LGBT getting taught in schools and all the rest of it. If your communication is good with your children, right? If you again the connection, if your connection is good, they will not be influenced by outside stuff. They will not be influenced. They will know themselves, and you should speak to them what they're learning. And they might say, "Oh, this was taught." Okay, before you start lecturing them and saying, oh my God, it's haram, haram, haram," right? And trying to protect them, you can't protect them forever. You have to ask, "What do you think?" Ask them what they think, because when they start talking to you, they might already have solved it for you, and you might think, "Well, I don't have to worry about anything." So you're actually start worrying about something which you don't need to worry about. But if they start saying things which alarm bells go off, then you can address it. But if you don't know what it is, you can't address it. You always want to know what's going on in their minds. Ask them open questions. Get them to give you the information to know what's going on in their minds. Uh, and then if they're saying something which is maybe not correct, then you can say, "Oh, that's interesting. You say that. Why did you say that?" Ask them their reasons. Then you give your reasons for your position, and you back your position up so that your position comes across stronger than their position. And they will say, "Oh, actually, my dad's got a point. That's a stronger position than mine." You don't have to, you can just leave it, have the discussion. They will go away and they'll change their minds themselves. And then obviously ask them, "What do you think about my points? Do you agree, disagree?" This is how you're going to get through to them. So in summary, the key word everyone should remember is connection, right? Connection. And the thing is, look, it doesn't matter how bad your situation is. I've seen very bad situations. As parents, you can actually fix it. Even if your kids have gone off the rails, you can bring them back. That is the power of the parent. The power of the parent, because they can bring them back just by reconnecting. So we should never lose hope. It's not doomy gloomy, right? I'm not of the persuasion that we need to all migrate somewhere else for the sake of our children. No, the problems will follow us. If we get our parenting right, our children will be fine. But for that, we have to put the work in. And just remember, you have the power to make and you have the power to break your children. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه. الله أكبر.